Phosphor Dot fans, Earl at thelogbook.com, back once again with more obscurities from the Apple II game catalog. This was a game that I did not encounter until the age of emulation and the wonderful Asimov FTP server that brought us Apple II software from near and far alike. This game I had never heard of, although you would think that this game would be just a natural for where I grew up in Tornado Alley and where I once again live in Tornado Alley now. Storm Warning by Robert R. Devine, published in 1984 by Microspark, which is that's an entity I've never heard of. I have a feeling that might just be another name for Robert R. Devine. I have no idea. The game is pretty simple. You are this guy in a truck, and you are driving back and forth during an outbreak of bad weather to try to rescue people, to try to get them into the storm shelter, 2 at a time. And during all of this, lightning is setting houses on fire. Tornadoes are razing houses to the ground. I mean, really, it's kind of like if someone did Twister, the video game. This is what it would be like. Now, interestingly, and there goes a tornado knocking that house into dust. Interestingly, there's nothing you can do to lose a life in this game, but if 3 of these people lose their lives, that is the point at which the game is over. So here you are just, being a good Samaritan, being the best Samaritan, really, trying to get everyone to safety. And if there is a person standing in the doorway of a house when it gets hit by fire, or when it gets hit by a tornado, when it gets burned down by a fire, that person is dead. And a little headstone will appear in the cemetery between the general store and the storm shelter. And if 3 people die on your watch, basically, it's all over for you. Ooh, got that one out just in time because their home was just hit by a tornado. It's really easy to fall into the trap of thinking, you know what, I'm going to let the houses on the left side of the screen bite it. And, and that way I only have to worry about the houses on the right side of the screen. The problem with that is that you wind up with fewer... oh yeah, someone's dead, and it's my fault. Going to the left side of the screen for an extended period of time, a little slightly longer than you would need to pick someone up, is how you get building supplies, and you can start rebuilding the houses that have been destroyed by the storm. But oh no, okay, there are 2 dead now. If you have building supplies and you pick someone up from a house on the way, you ditch the building supplies in favor of passengers, which that seems like a sensible transaction to me. Oh, yeah, 3 are dead. The game is over. So you can take the approach that you can't save them all, but that would be wrong. So let's try it again. Let's start another game from scratch. Oh, we're already 1 house down. The fewer houses you have, the slimmer your margin of error for being able to save people. so the whole left side of the screen has been destroyed effectively. So let's start fixing that. The more houses you have that are constructed and livable, that's kind of your insurance policy against running out of people to save. Oh, didn't quite make it all the way to the storm shelter there. You have to go all the way to the right side of the screen with your passengers, or it doesn't count, and then you're just, giving everyone a ride in the bed of your truck in the middle of this terrible storm. Sound effects, the controls, the graphics are very, very simple. And here's the funny thing. Having grown up in the part of the country that deals with this kind of weather fairly frequently, maybe not day in and day out, but often enough, maybe every week once you get into April and May, as I will soon be discovering, you actually start to wonder if is this a subject matter that you can gamify, for lack of a better word. Can you make a game out of this, or is this one of those things where, we should never speak of this again. You should never speak of this except in the most serious possible context. You can't make a game out of it. It's too much. You see, you don't even if you don't have a house fully constructed, it can still be destroyed again. Even if you just have basically the skeleton of the house up and you haven't finished it out. It's funny how the moment you finish it out, there's someone living there. See, I had always thought that if there was an angle for doing any kind of severe weather-related video or computer game, the angle would be storm chasing. Earlier I made a joke about Twister, the video game. That would actually be really, I think, the safest way to deal with this subject matter in a video game or computer game context. However, in recent years, we've even had storm chasers get killed because they ran into a storm that was really too big and too violent to observe safely from the close range that storm chasing sort of demands. Oh, got that person out of that house just barely in time. And it's kind of a wonder that someone hasn't taken this general idea and made a flash game out of it. And, tied it to the brand of some TV station or radio station or other that trades heavily upon the reputation of their weather forecasting. Where are you, Robert R. Devine? You could still be making money off this thing. Given that in the Apple II disk image library, this is on a multi-game disk and not a disk of its own, I really do wonder if this was a game where money did indeed change hands, or if it was just kind of a public domain thing that someone, made up a corporate entity and put that name on it. Oh, 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 we're in deep doo-doo now. Hang on, little buckaroo. And other little buckaroo. That was close. I've noticed that whoever the occupant of the last house on the right is, they would have died right there if I hadn't saved them. They cross over to the storm shelter immediately, even if your truck is just sitting there. Oh, okay, pick someone up there. I think you also lose the game if the last habitable house is destroyed. So you're having to balance the tasks of evacuating people to the shelter and rebuilding houses. Yeah, game over if the last house is destroyed. So there you have it. A really odd little game in terms of subject matter, because I don't recall many or indeed any games that dealt with this particular subject matter that were actually, games. This is a fairly unique one. It may be something that only resonates with a certain part of the United States, and maybe not all of the US or indeed the rest of the world. But there you have it, Storm Warning by Robert R. Devine, published apparently by Microspark. Yet another relic from the vault of Phosphor Dot Fossils. Thanks for watching. It's good to be back, and we'll see you again soon.